Hey y'all, it's Hope here at Crafty Hope and welcome. I've been futzing with things, trying to get ready for week 2 of Seek, Gather, Create, as well as gathering things for my 100-day project, which I should be announcing soon if I haven't already. I'm not sure where that's going to happen yet. So stay tuned. I finally have an idea for that one. Well, let's talk about Seek, Gather, Create. This is a challenge that takes place mostly on Instagram, but I like to pop over here to show you how I made whatever it is I've made. This is a bi-yearly, so about twice a year, the 4 hostesses, who are Tina, Lisa, Laura, and Melanie, give us 4 prompts each week to make anything mixed media you want. So I encourage you to go check the 4 of them out. I'll have their links linked up in the description box below, so click that more button if you're not seeing it. There's also a Seek, Gather, Create Instagram, and there's a giveaway and all kinds of stuff. So let me tell you about what the week 2 prompts are and then what I got going on here. Week 2, the prompts are a face, stripes, the color teal, and a wing or wings. I love these prompts. Love them. As soon as I saw them, I was like, ooh, I can make something. And now I have so many ideas, I can't even. I will tell you what's in this basket and kind of where my direction came. So face, initially I thought maybe drawing a face. One of my 200-day projects last year was making 100 faces. So I drew a bunch of sketchy faces, and what I ended up doing when I first thought about this was I took a couple of those sketches, scanned them, put them into my laser cutting software, and then laser cut them on just some craft cardstock. Not really what I wanted, but it was a fun experiment. It was a super fun experiment. While I was doing that, I went ahead and cut some wings too. So I have, where are they? Oh my gosh. So I have this general butterfly wing. I don't know what's the best way for you to see that. Maybe there. And then there's another set of like this one as well. So I cut some wings while I had the laser cutter, but I don't know. I wasn't completely sold on laser cutting everything for every design, because this is supposed to be about seeking what you have in your stash and gathering and creating and using what's in your stash. So I have decided I am going to use something laser cut, because the more I thought about a face and wings and stripes, I really started thinking about stripes and wings and a cage. So because I thought, I might just draw some stripes on something, was my initial thought. So I ended up laser cutting a couple of cages. So this is just a cage front, but I think it is so close together that you can't really see anything behind it. So this one I really, really like. So I feel like you definitely can get a view of things behind it. I gave it some depth by making a back plate and a couple of these like spacer ones, so I can stack them to create this cage. So that's my stripes. But also with faces, let me tell you what else I gathered. A baby doll head, because creepy fun, yes. I also have this face stamp. I got ages, and I think I actually have 2 of these, so I may go find the other one as well. But this one's super cool. I've stamped it here just to kind of make sure it fit in my cage. So that's my face. These are all little pieces of some of my face laser cutting. Stripes, I told you I've got the bird cage kind of idea. The color teal. So my battery is dying. I'll be right back. Okay. So for the color teal, obviously I can pull out some paint that has a teal shade, but I had some paints, swatches like this for white for my kitchen, and while I was at the hardware store picking out those, I picked up this one and a couple other colors I liked, and as I was putting these away in the craft room, I realized that this one says Maxi Teal, and I was like, oh, how copacetic, how serendipitous. So I've kind of got this stuck in here And then there's wings. So, oh gosh, I forgot about this face too. I remembered I have this vellum face that's in my focal box that I was toying with. I actually thought I might try putting it in the cage, but it's so big. And I don't particularly like the teeth on this one for some reason. So, yeah. So wing or wings. I made the wings. I really like those. I'm still toying with that. I remembered I have these butterfly sets. I'm stuck on the butterfly wing shawl. I don't know. And I have these in this teal color. So, I like it. I'm just kind of meh. And then while I was going through some things, thinking about my 100-day project, I realized I have some of these Tim Holtz, I think it's the Adornments pack, that have wings in them. So I've pulled these out as well. I don't know. I might end up, I've got some of the Tim Holtz Transparent wings and botanicals that have more butterflies in them. I have actual butterflies and dragonflies that are in my stashing cicada wings. So I could pull out some real wings. I don't know yet quite what I'm going to do. This is what I've gathered so far. I could go who knows in what direction with these things, but before I started working on it, I thought I would pop in and tell you what I do have and what my ideas are and show you kind of this mess of stuff. So I was about to start on something, and that's why I went and turned the camera on. So I was thinking taking this strip of shades of teal and stamping this face on here and then cutting it into stripes. It may not work. And then moving those stripes to make up a face so that the face itself is also striped along with my cage. So I'm thinking on that. So we're gonna start with that, I think. If it doesn't work, I can paint something teal or do something else, or I can go back to the hardware store if I have to and get more teal paint samples. Teal's not that hard for me. I've got lots of it. So okay, I want this. This is an acrylic block, and I've got some stays on, and I'm just going to ink up this and get started. That was a lot of talking for a project that really is fairly simple. So let's see what I can do. Sorry, this video is so long. I included some things because I wanted to show y'all some of my mistakes and all that, but it really is a super simple project. So, using that stays on and that stamp, I'm putting a face on each one of these little color swatches on here, and then I'm going to take that to my guillotine cutter and basically do 3 slices down it. So you'll see here. I have all the eyes, all the noses, all the mouths, and you can see I'm kind of going to do like an ombre pattern. Now I could have done this either way with lightest to darkest or darkest to lightest, but I thought I'd put the darkest at the bottom of this so that it has like the weight of it. Does that make sense? So that's my idea, but I wanted to go ahead and paint some of my laser cut pieces, and I decided to go ahead and at least the back plate, go ahead and give it a teal color. And I pulled out a couple different paints trying to decide what I thought would be the best, and I decided I've got this heavy body acrylic from Liquitex that is cobalt turquoise. I think that's right. I will have it below. And it is perfect. And it is one of those things that because it is a nice acrylic paint, I never use it. Now I have announced my 100-day project this year, which is the Not Precious project. So I'm keeping it to the idea that maybe I'll even continue that project past it. So that's why I didn't put the number 100 in there, or say 100-day project in it or anything like that, because it's something I'd like to continue to work on. So I have an Instagram post. It's a reel over on Instagram that shares a little bit of some of that. I will link that below with everything else. But you can see I am using this, what I've considered a very precious paint, and am painting the back plate of this cage. This is just the background that I'll end up gluing stuff to, but if any of that, yeah, I just wanted to cover all the wood with that color, and it pretty much matches that maxi teal color. Granted, this color is turquoise. Yeah. But for the front of the bird cage, the actual cage portion of it, what I decided I want to do, yeah, I was trying to figure out, because this plywood that I'm using, like one side is lighter and one side is darker, and I kind of wanted to make sure I was using all the same pieces or something. Okay, so my little trick for painting chipboard or laser cut pieces in general is to use a jelly plate. You don't get as much paint in between all the little pieces. You might get some texture, which you can get by, blotting it off or something like that. But I have taken this Modern Masters Olympic gold paint, put it onto my little 3x5 jelly plate, spread it out with my brayer, and I'm pressing my bird cage into that. Now I could pick that up if I wanted, but I'm going to just kind of pick it up and make sure everything gets a good coating of that acrylic paint on there. And then you can see I'm blotting it onto my underpaper. You could use whatever, but that just takes away some of the texture that you get from pulling up off a jelly plate. So I'm going to put that aside and clean up my desk real quick and come back in with my faces again. I'm going to flip these over at some point. Do I do this on camera? I'm not sure. And I end up numbering them because I was real afraid that those middle ones, I was going to get it mixed up with the darker one. So I don't think I did, but it was one of those things that was like, but what if I do? Because I'm about to cut these apart. And I was afraid that once I cut them apart, I might not be able to tell the difference. It was just kind of an extra precaution. So I'm going to cut these apart, cut off those little white pieces. And once I get this done, I'll have enough stuff to make 3 more faces if I want to. Because again, I'm just going to use the eyes of the light one, the nose of the middle one, and the mouth of the darkest. And hopefully they will line up nice and neat. They do, but I was just kind of like, oh, that's why I use the guillotine cutter, is to keep those lines as straight as possible. If I try to use scissors, y'all, I mean, like cutting the sides of those, I know that they were at an angle. It's just the way I do. And this was just wide enough to fit on here. That's partly because I measured my stamp before I made, and I measured, did I measure that swatch? I don't think I did, but I measured everything before I made the design for the birdcage laser cut. So I made it specifically to fit that stamp. All right, and I'm futzing around. I've got everything kind of laid out. You can see how this is going to come together, but we're going to talk about it for, quite a bit longer. And I have a ton of photos of this at the end because I love it so much. So I lined that up where I wanted it, and to make sure I put it right in that spot, I did mark it with a little bit of just a mechanical pencil, and I'm going to use some Aleene's tacky glue to glue it down. Wood glue would have been fine, or E6000 or whatever, but I just felt like tacky glue sticks pretty quickly, and I mean, even Fabri-Tac would have been fine. And I'm going to use my handy dandy glue spreader thing. This is it's like a silicone brush that can spread out glue, and then you can clean the glue out of it. It's something my husband got me, sweet man that he is. So now that I have the face lined up along that line, I can line up the nose and mouth against each other because because I cut that stuff with the guillotine cutter. So, and again, more Aleene's tacky glue, spreading it out just where I want it, and then pushing it up against, that. And then I'll do the exact same thing with the mouth. Double checking. I did look on the back to make sure that was 3 of those colors. There is a little bit, I guess when the guillotine cutter cut those, a little bit of a snag where you may not be able to see it here, but I could see a little bit of the white paper on there, and it was bothering me. So I will fix that later. I think I kept that in the video. All right, and I will glue this down. just like this. I love that I used that stays on because it is permanent and it is not moving around. Now, this, you can see the white paper does come over the sides of all of this. I could have been more precise about it, but I'm just going to take a cutting mat and my craft knife and cut off the excess. I am not super skilled with a craft knife, and mine might even be kind of dull, so this is, yeah. I'm always nervous about cutting things, so I never put near enough pressure on it because I was afraid I was going to cut the side of the wood, and I was afraid I was going to cut through the cutting mat. I don't know. I'm neurotic, y'all. So I'm going to cut this excess off, just going around it, as you can see. And I think I do. No, it's, yeah, I end up getting it all. So I'll get this off and come back in and clean it up just a little bit. Yeah, get those little bits. I think I even pick up the box and cut it like that. Yep, I'm really excited about this birdcage design. If y'all like it, let me know, because it's something that I could make more of maybe, but I want you to see what happens here before you tell me if you want it. So because I've cut that paper and the edges of it are white and everything, it's got that bit of white on there, which I want to disguise. So I'm using an ink blender and some black soot distress oxide, not oxide, ink. It's ink. It's distress ink and black soot. All right, so now I'm coming in with the wood glue, and this is where we have a bit of an oopsie that I want you to see. Well, first off, I dripped a little bit of the wood glue. So I am holding that spacer thing. Now, there is not much wood there. It is very thin. It is, I'm sorry, I'm off camera. The position of my camera currently is weird, and I'm trying to get it back where I want it. But do you see that? It broke. I squeezed it just a little bit, and because that's just a thin little snippet of wood, it broke. So it is not the most, sturdy thing, even though this is, I think it's 1/4 inch wood that I used. So the way I'm remedying, making sure that I'm not going to break it again, or at least try not to, is by not holding in my hand. I'm keeping it on my table there and moving it around. I will use, see, I've picked it up again. I keep going, no, put it down. You might squeeze it again. So I am clumsy, but this is one of those things when working with thin wood, especially that you want to space out like this. Now I might come back in later and make the thickness of these lines a little bit wider so that, So I've got my wood glue there, got it spread out, and I am lining up all the edges, and then I'm going to come in and I'm just using my finger to wipe up any of that wood glue that kind of seeps out the sides. So I do have to go and cut out with the laser cutter a second because I like the spacing of the two spacers. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out another second one, which is a benefit I can do because I have that here. And I'm using a toothpick here to clean out some of that wood glue. It's not going to be a huge deal once it dries because it does dry clear. But I wanted to go ahead and clean it up while I had the opportunity. So just getting that off my paint sample face or paint swatch face, whatever. What are those called? They're paint swatches, right? I think that's right. Okay, so I have gone out and printed another one. So I have this inside portion that I'll have to figure out something to do with or cut something on or whatever. And again, I'm going to put my glue on to this spacer, keeping it on my desk and spread it out. See, I picked it up again and was like, why are you doing this? And it really didn't take me any time to go cut it out again on the laser cutter, but I am loving that machine, y'all. I will overuse it, I am sure. And again, I will stack this. I don't have as much worry. Yeah, I'm going to get that glue that's on the side, but I was a bit more careful in my application of it, so I won't, there's not near as much of it. All right, and then the front of it. Oh, and I did decide to go look in my stash and found this word tag, I think is what it's called, from Tim Holtz, and it says, use your wings. And I thought that was, yeah, I just was like, yeah, I'm going to use it. It's one of those things in my stash that I'm not using, that I'm hoarding. And, I can't let myself buy more stuff if I don't use the stuff I have. So now I am just applying the glue to the outer edges, the parts where I know it's going to touch. And again, I will use my little silicone glue spreader brush to spread it out. This helps remove some of that excess using this brush, and that's part of why I like it, is, it takes up some of that excess. And then I'm going to line everything up. I've got a little bit of working time with this glue. So yeah, I'm just taking off the excess whatever on the inside. I won't be able to see, so I'm not super concerned about it. And yeah, so while it is securing and drying, I have decided to, and it doesn't hit me till later, that I can alter the wings and my little tag. Initially, I thought I was going to do it in a gold to match the cage, but I was like, no, I don't want the wings and this to be like part of the cage. I want it to be part of the face. So I need more teal. So I found that I had a vintage patina in deep teal, and it has to be shaken up. It's got a little ball bearing in it. So I'm shaking it up real good. Vintage and Ranger do not make this product anymore, but there is the Ultimate Craft Paint or Ultimate Paints or something that is the replacement for these patinas. And there is, I believe there's like a turquoisey color like this in there. So now that I've got it good and shook up, I've got a brush and I'm going to quickly put down some of that vintage patina paint on these metal pieces, and before it has a chance to dry, I am wiping it away. Just kind of a dry brush-ish technique, but with some removal. If it had dried more than I wanted, I could break out some kind of sanding block or a nail buffer or something like that to get any of the excess off of there. So that's the plan anyway. I didn't want to have to break out the buffer because sometimes the buffer makes the metal itself more shiny than I want it to be. So I was trying to keep from doing that. So the wings were easy enough, and I was giddy because this looks almost like a patina, like a natural patina that would happen on metal. So I was tickled. I'm taking a little bit more time with the word one here because I still want that to be able to be read. I'm turning it so I can put my hand in it. And I'm also going to try to make sure with my brush that I go, because at first I was just going in one direction, like towards my right, but I was like, no, I need to go to my right and left so it gets around all of the letters. So yeah. And then again, like I said, I'm doing it kind of just in little snippets and removing it with a paper towel, nothing complex, and then cleaning up my space. Now it's time to start sticking these on. Oh, but before I do that, I kind of wanted to age that gold a little. So I've got Distress ink in, I believe that's walnut stain. No, maybe that's more of the black soot. Yeah, that must be more of the black soot. I didn't add a whole lot to my blending tool there. I just wanted a little bit and it didn't show up. All right, I'm going to use E6000 to glue these wings down, just kind of putting it where it looks. I had a bit of trouble with that right one, getting it adhered. I think it's finally cured completely, but it was persnickety, so I've just kept at it. And that's up for hours before I came in because I had to wait on it and everything to make sure it had the weight. I'm going to use a toothpick here to apply the E6. I started to put it down there. I was like, nope, that's no good. So I get a toothpick, put that on my E6000, put my E6000 on it, and then spread that onto the cage. And then I will apply that little word tag and give it some weight and leave it. And I actually left it to sit all of it overnight before I come back and share the final result with y'all. I am so tickled with this. It really does feel like I just kind of like was like, okay, face, stripes, wings, and it just fell together. It's so simple. And you know, I keep reminding myself that sometimes simple things really are the best. So I hope you are playing along with the Seek, Gather, Create challenge. Make sure you use those hashtags Seek, Gather, Create 2024 and Seek, Gather, Create, along with tagging the hostesses, or at least one of them, in your Instagram post so you can be entered for the giveaway. But please go check them out and learn more about this fun mixed media scavenger hunt. All right, guys, if you like this, make sure to give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I will see y'all later. Bye.